Hey, peace and positivity reflections, good energy to all. So in this video, I just want to talk about how living in these cities separates us from it. Well, it doesn't. I'm sorry, there is no separation. It's an illusion. But how living in these cities helps perpetuate the illusion of separation. And not only does it perpetuate the illusion of separation, it does limit your ability to connect to your higher self and thus the higher vibrational realities, which is existence all the time, but it in different levels of intensity based on your ability to tap into it. So, essentially, higher vibrational realities, things of this nature, energies, they come from a clean source. They come from a clean place. They come from a place that is cipher, that does not take more than it needs, that is always giving back, it is always spreading positivity, is not creating harm, is not hurting, is living in balance, is living in equilibrium with the environment. It doesn't disrupt the equilibrium. It doesn't create disharmony. And if it does whatever it can to rectify that. But everything in these cities, I don't know about everything, but a lot of the things in the cities, coming down from the houses we live in to the jobs we work to the products we buy, are creating disharmonies. They're creating disharmonies within our being. They're creating disharmonies within the environment, and then those disharmonies then play out in negative karmic effects on us as a human collective and us as an individual body. And then on top of that, even just living in these cities, it's like at nighttime you can't even see the stars. We can't. We grew up humans. I feel the makeup of the human, the evolution of the human, every night would probably be able to look out at the stars. And I knew they were. The only reason why we can't see the stars is because of city lights. And these type of city lights have only been around for what, the past 100 years or so, maybe not even that long. So living in these cities is relatively very new. And I feel like it's a natural, good, and organic, almost essential thing for us to be able to see the stars, for us to be able to smell the freshness of the flowers, and by not smelling the flowers, by not being able to see the stars, by not being able to breathe in fresh air, we are thus, absorbing more toxins, absorbing more pollutants, and subconsciously we're absorbing information that is telling us that there are no stars because we don't see them. No, but we're focusing on what's in front of us, which is the neon signs, which is the gas stations, the McDonald's, the fries, the streets, the traffic lights. These are the things that we're focusing on because these are the lights that are shining in front of us. And this is all very, it's on a subtle level, it is programming us to become adaptable and comfortable in an environment that is outside of our natural, organic, original habitat. And it has having dire effects on our spiritual well-being, our physical well-being, and our mental well-being. So, yeah, it's just, something that I wanted to talk about, and it's really kind of touches my heart because if people really started to get more out into nature, the I am consciousness, the Christ consciousness, it it just permeates out there because you see nature and everything works together. There's really not any disharmonies. There's not any sickness. The sounds, the sights, the feelings, the fragrances, all these things that you pick up on are good for you. Are they're not leading you astray. They're not leading you farther away from where you came from. These cities are leading us farther from where we came from. We came from a place of higher vibrational thinking. Or even if we didn't come from there, that's where we would like to be. That's where we should be. Why wouldn't you want to be better? Or life wants to grow. It wants to be good. It wants to serve, the righteousness and good order of all. But the good order of all is being disrupted by these destructive cities, which are literally products of destruction. Everything, the houses that we live in, all these things had to be stripped from the earth, pillaged from the earth, and combined in a way, manipulated in a way to encase the human beings. You know, both our bodies and our spirits, and then now our energies, because we're having to pay energy just to live in these things which are sucking our energy. So, you know, yeah, I just wanted to make this point, and just I've been thinking about this idea for a couple weeks now, and I was feeling a little bit better today, so I thought I'd just share some of my ideas on how living in these cities is disharmonious for the human spirit, and it is going, and because we are exchanging energy with everything that we come into contact with. Um, uh, there's a lot of lower self energies inside the cities. So no matter how strong you are, how tough you are, you're still going to be, to a greater or lesser degree, affected by the lower self nature of these cities. So, it just seems in so many ways everything is pointing for us to, as human beings, as a collective human consciousness family, to leave these big cities, to really start living as close to off grid as we can. This is what's going to help us revigorate our spirit. This is what's going to help us heal all the many pains and ailments we have. This is what's also going to help heal the earth and all the species and all the plants and all the animals that we've killed off, that we are killing off. I mean, it's like even the habitats, like not only in the rainforest are we taking down trees, which are their own beautiful beings in themselves, but those trees are homes to so many creatures. So every time, so that's why living in these houses is really not good. It's really not good. And then especially if you're buying new houses, you're just only perpetuating badness. I mean, I guess if a house is already built and you're using it for good purposes, that's not such a bad thing. But essentially, I mean, this is why I've always thought that getting back to stonework is really the best way to be living, because the stone doesn't have to die. And if you look at the rocks and stuff, like maybe a lizard be living there, but a lizard can always find another rock. There's always plenty of rocks, and you don't have to kill the rock. You don't have to uproot the rock. All you got to do is physically move the rock from point A to point B, and it's not hurting it. It doesn't have, it doesn't have you're not draining it of a life force. You're not destructing anything. You're not taking it out of its natural course of life and death. You're not prematurely taking it from the earth, because it is already in its state. You're not changing the state of it. This is why I think a lot of the so-called ancients built with stone, because they knew it was the most efficient way to build. Even just from a structural standpoint, a stone building is gonna last compared to a wooden house. It's just silly. And then the wooden house is full of chemicals and paints which come from plants. So then we're extracting, killing more plants just for paints to cover up the wood, which a lot of these, a lot of times when you mix these plants in a certain way, they create these paints which are actually poisonous to the human body. Anybody who's spent some time painting house paint knows that you get high from painting, because there's toxic fumes that come from the paint. And we're lathering it on this dead wood, which we also extracted from the wilds, to make us feel more comfortable, to give us a sense of artificiality, of our own identity separate from the original pure source. We're manipulating our environment to appease to our superficiality or our lower self nature, and these are what these houses are. And just by living in them subconsciously, we're absorbing this information, which is not good for our spirit, and it's not good for the earth. And we don't need to be doing it either. There's a lot better, healthier ways that we can live and thrive that don't require the damaging of our spirit and the destruction of Mother Earth. So All right. With that being said, I think I'm gonna shut this video down. Again, thank you for all the kind and wonderful comments. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so just have a good day, good energy to all, and I love myself. All right, bye bye.